Hello, Mercedes Car Clubbers. It is Tuesday, December 4th, and this is our third networking and idea sharing call for the Mercedes Car Club. Last week, we talked a bit about really making sure that our show atmosphere is such that that people will want to invite us back. And then we talked about really making sure and really committing to doing the hostess order form, the back of the hostess order form with every hostess, so that we know we've shown them the money, we've shown them the possibility, and that really it is part of their host program in order to use their show, that it's really is part of their hostess program to be entitled to start their business with the use of their show. So I would imagine a whole bunch of people had shows this weekend. Was anyone able to make a definite concerted effort to doing that? Or were you already in the habit of doing it, or you didn't have a show to do it at? Jennifer, you had shows, so did you not do it?
I did not do it. And the reason why, which it's no excuse, is because they were both very low attended. And so, yeah, no excuse.
Correct. We do it even when it's low attended. Mary Grace actually shared that she did a show with people that she's done a show 950 times for, that there was only 2 girls that showed up. And then she did end up talking to them about the business, and all 3 of them joined. Is that insane? And she said that she said, shame on me. I'm actually not the one that brought it up. They brought it up because one turned to the other and said, did you tell her how you've been stalking her Facebook of all the things that she does? And Mary Grace, as you know, does very little on Facebook, actually. So the little that she does post, they were watching. And because they brought it up, she then spoke to them about it. And they're pretty much, I think all 3 of them are going ahead with joining. And she said, oh my gosh, talk about floored. I would have never thought, that I would have never known they were watching my Facebook. I would have never thought that they wanted the business. And look at that. And definitely people are watching our Facebook. I can't tell you how many shows I walk into where somebody in the room's like, so where you going next, Michelle? And then they turn around. She was in Greece. Believe this one? She went to Greece. A few months before that, she went to Switzerland. Where you going next? And I say, Rome. And they're like, oh my God, never ends. And I'm thinking, you look at my pictures, like they don't comment on them. They don't like them, but people are watching. So Deborah, it looked like you were going to answer the question when I was asking.
Yeah, I had a styling last night, and there was only two girls showed up in the hostess, but I went ahead and did the whole hostess into recruiting. And I thought it was good. I didn't get a response out of it. However, I still think it's certainly, they were intrigued by it, I guess.
Yeah.
The show ended kind of abruptly because they all of a sudden decided to move furniture or something. I don't know. But anyway, so I didn't really get a full chance to sit down with the host again and go over that, but we'll get to that. But it flowed really easily, just putting it as one of the benefits of a show. And that was pretty cool.
Awesome. Yeah, I have to say that is the benefit to using it, is that it is a nice natural flow. It doesn't feel forced because you're sitting there going over the benefits anyway. So it's just an extension of that conversation. Right. I know that I ended up being completely surprised because when I was doing the ticket game at my daytime party on Saturday, that's when I'm always sure to say, because somebody will always say, well, how do you get started? And then I answer the question in terms of the hostess. So I'll say, so let's say Paula is going to use this. I start out by saying, Paula is entitled to use this show to start her business. So And so in the case of today, if Paula decides she wants to join, she can take all of the sales from this party and be the one that gets paid on it. So the paycheck is probably going to be around such and such. You know, the bookings from today, she will get to keep and go ahead and do the shows with my help and make the money at those shows as well. She's entitled to take all of the hostess benefits that I just described earlier. So all of that free and discounted jewelry. And then on top of that, she can take the paycheck from today's party to purchase her kit, which for $229, she's going to get to pick out another $1,000 worth of jewelry. So I kind of like involved the hostess too. So I'm like, so Paula, I hope you have a big list there, because you'd be picking out, you know, $400 or $500 worth for your hostess stuff, and then another $1,000 for your kit if you're deciding, if you know, if that's something you're thinking about. I always keep it like in that realm. So, you know, if that's something you're thinking about. And sure enough, at the end of the party, she came up and she was like, so how much would it be? And I told her. So today I got there was a woman who placed such a big order at that show that I did a real quick mock of how to do as many items as she wanted as multiple orders without making her know it would be multiple orders, you know, because, you know, once you start doing that, then people start waffling. So when I got to the part where she still wanted 3 more Sundance necklaces, I said, now for these Sundance necklaces, it's going to be buy one, get 2 for $25 each. So she paid $126 for one of them and $25 for the next 2. You know, it was crazy the way I did this order. I don't even know, but that ended up bringing the whole total of the show, net and non, it is over 1,000. So I texted the hostess today, just want to let you know that you've had such a fabulous party that you're entitled to, and I texted her a very similar version to what I just said to you. So, and then I just concluded with, is that something you'd like to talk about? And I got back, yes, with 50 exclamation points. So, yay. When I tell you that I could have had no idea she was interested in the business going into this party, that would not be an exaggeration. We had not talked about the business at all, which of course is bad on my part. However, clearly I made up enough ground to get her inspired enough to want to consider it. So it definitely works, and it's something that with practice you'll always do, even if there's only a few people there, even if they've done it before the last time they had a show and you're thinking they don't need to hear it again. You'll just do it every time as part of it. You know, if you really just make it routine part of going over the show with the hostess, like you wouldn't not tell her she doesn't, you know, you wouldn't not tell her about the thank you award. You would not tell her about, you know, once she uses all her credit, I always say, now you're entitled to add a couple of things on here for half price. Is there anything you crossed out but now you want to get? Because you do have a bunch of half price items here. I wouldn't leave that out. That increases my paycheck, right? It increases your paycheck. So that's why I don't leave out going over the hostess, you know, what she would get if she uses it for her business. So one of the things that really makes a difference in recruiting at your shows is knowing the difference between informing and inviting, right? And both of them are very important parts of the recruiting process, but we tend to forget the invite part, and we only do the inform part, and we think that it's inviting. And here's what I mean by that. Many team members, and you may do this, but I promise some of your team members are doing it, even if you're not, will say something to the effect, usually at some, it might be at the beginning or it might be at the end of the show, where they say something to the effect of, so watch what I do here tonight, and if it looks like something you might be interested in doing, let me know and I will give you some information. That's not inviting. That's informing them that you have information to give. Inviting is a personal invitation where you're actually asking a question. You see how you were putting it on them when you said it that way. And most people are not going to ask you. When I was early in my direct sales career, I attended like a day-long regional thing, and I was sitting at it. They put you in groups at tables, and this one girl was going on and on about how she hosted 3 parties of the company we were with, and each time she heard the consultant stand there and say, "If you'd like information about the business, let me know if whatever," but that she was never asked. And because she was never asked, she assumed there was something about her that made her ineligible or undesirable for the business. Like, she didn't know what it was, but she wasn't confident enough to just ask for it herself. So she hosted 3 times. And if you've ever heard Mary Grace tell her story, the same thing happened to her. She hosted a party, and the girl was packed up and had her coat on, and her husband came in the room and said, "So did you ask her?" And the girl was like, "Ask her what?" And he said, "I thought you were going to ask her about the business." And she was like, "Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Yes, of course I will share some information." She was pretty new herself, the girl. And Mary Grace was her first recruit. Can you imagine that the sun could rise and set on your head so much that if your first recruit in life is Mary Grace Lewandowski? So this girl went on to make God knows how much money off of Mary Grace's team and her efforts while she was at Party Light. But it took her husband saying, "Hey, did you ask her?" And the girl saying, "Ask me what?" on the way out. So if Paul hadn't come in at that moment, God, would a lot of things be different right now for her and for all of us. So it's our job to inform what's available, but then subsequently to invite each and every person to hear more. So the informing part of, I feel that the most important part of the informing is to tell your very brief story at some point during the show. Now, I want to be very clear that I don't mean your whole story or your life story. Okay, we're talking about essentially the answers to 4 questions that give people enough of a glimpse into you that they can decide if you're somebody that they might want to work with. So that hopefully by hearing your little story and then engaging with you over the 30-minute whatever show or the chit chat before and after, that they would feel comfortable enough to say the word yes when you're speaking with them. So the design of, I'm going to tell you the 4 questions first. The first question that your story should be answering is, why did you join? Okay, I'm going to let you write down what the questions are first so that you have them as a trainer to turn to your team with, because all of you guys are leaders. Okay, so why did you join? Question number 2 that your story should answer is, what obstacle did you overcome in order to join? What obstacle did you overcome in order to join? Question number 3 is, what have you enjoyed so far? And question number 4 is, what are you looking forward to? What are you looking forward to? So these are all questions that can be answered in 1 to 3 sentences, and that the whole thing can be said in what will be essentially under 2 minutes, right? So my version of this is, I actually started in direct sales about 19 years ago now, when I was on maternity leave from my teaching job, and my husband said to me, "Yeah, the stay-at-home mom gig is nice and all, but we are paying a $600 a month COBRA to stay on your health insurance during this time. So if you could do a little something to make that $600, that would be great." Okay, so that answers question number 1, right? Why did I join? The obstacle you had to overcome, that can sound something like, I if it could be really anything, I didn't know if I could stand up in front of people and talk, or, my husband talked a big game. He had never taken care of the baby by himself when I was leaving, but, we went over, a couple of things, and where he used to be nervous once I left, now he loves it and he wonders why I'm home ever on a Friday night. That was my friend Lisa's version, where she said that her husband was like, he was horrified to have to take care of the kids by himself when she started her business. And then she goes, now fast forward 6 months, I got a boot on my back if I'm home on a Friday night. Like, get out of here. What are you doing home? Because he knows the money that's missing each time that I'm home on a Friday night. What have you enjoyed so far? That can be anything, right? The design of these questions is, for leaders, this is a super easy thing to do. But for a brand new person, at their second party, they can say, I've enjoyed earning. So I've enjoyed picking out a starter kit, and I've actually even earned a bunch more free jewelry. And I've learned in just 2 shows that I can actually stand in front of people and talk a little bit and just hang out and sell jewelry, right? That can be a super easy thing. Once you've been around a little longer, what I've enjoyed so far can be anything from, I've enjoyed having so much flexibility to be home with the kids, while at the same time, I'm able to earn a trip. Jennifer Ewert went on her first direct sales trip ever this year. And she's able to say, this year I enjoyed my first European vacation compliments. Well, I don't know if you've ever been to Europe before, but my first free European vacation compliments of Park Lane. So what's something that you're enjoying so far? And then what are you looking forward to? Again, that can be anything, right? I'm looking forward to Park Lane announcing the next trip. We're going to find out in just probably 3 weeks where our next destination is. I'm looking forward to earning a Mercedes. I'm actually in qualification to drive a Mercedes, and looking forward to picking one out and starting to drive a company car. I'm looking forward to promoting to the next level because it gets me a raise and I get to go on stage while all my friends cheer for me at the next convention. Or it can just be as simple as, I'm looking forward to attending my first convention and taking my first trip to Las Vegas. These are all the things that you can coach your new people to put together to share their story. Because if you don't work with them on how to tell their story, 2 things will happen. One of 2 things will happen. Half of them won't tell a story, and half of them will tell the longest story that no one's interested in. So we need to rein them all in and get them to do it, but get them to do it within these parameters. So this is a task that I would really implore you to really sit and make sure that your own story fits in these parameters. It's okay if you have a little extra flavor here and there, but not too much, because nobody wants to hear anyone's story that's long, regardless of how entertaining or fabulous you think it is. Because, believe me, if anyone, I understand the struggle of being verbose, but you got to keep it down. Now, there are a few things to put into your story that make it universally appealing. The reason why you're telling the story in this way, and I'm telling you this so that you know, but so that also you can communicate this to your team. People already have objections in their head. And the design of telling your story in this way is helping to undo the objection before they have to bother to verbalize it to you. So if you say, my husband had never been left home alone with the kids to put the kids to bed. My kids are 6, 4, and 2. And they had never put the kids to bed by himself before, but I knew that, if we just worked on it together a little bit, I would be able to go out at night and make some money, and it would be such a great flexible schedule for our family. The woman sitting there saying, I can't do this. I have 3 little kids. It was a big deal to get here tonight. Just heard, oh, she did manage, right? The person, the reason I specifically say I needed $600 a month for the Cobra, lucky for me, that is the real number it was. But Studies show that the average struggling American family is short $600 a month. That $600 a month is the magic number. Like they're short on the rent about $600 or the mortgage, or they have a repair or something that they need that if they had $600 every single month. There are families that the kids, they don't go to pre-K and they just stay home clear through kindergarten because they can't afford that tuition, which may be about $600 a month. So $600 consistently every month is really where you're going to hit a good amount of people as far as the number that they need. Because when you say, you know, you can have $2,000 a month, sometimes people feel like she can't be making that much. And we totally are, but let's get them with a small vision while they're just sitting on the couch with a glass of wine. If they need $2,000, we'll work on that after they join. Let's start with them hearing a number that they think is potentially realistic, because God knows $600 a month here can be done in 3 parties a month, if that. So these questions are designed to be presented in such a way that you're telling your story with maximum appeal to others, so that people's objections will be overcome before they even verbalize them to you. And then if they're going to have other objections, at least you're hearing the real objection and not the little fake objection that you already said wasn't the case. So I would really encourage you as an action step this week to make a little outline and see if your story is coming across in this form. And if not, to tweak it a little bit. And I know that that can be a hard task. The longer you're in the business, the harder it is to make changes and corrections to your show, right? Because the longer you're here, the more times you've said it, the harder it is to unsay it. So if you rewrite it, what I would love is for everybody to kind of write up their little version of their story and post it on this Mercedes page so that others can read it and be inspired by you. But also, if you're open to it, ask if anyone sees something that you could improve in it. Or, you know, what do you think of this? And I would be totally happy to say, hey, this is awesome, but if you just say this like this, it'll be a little more universal. You know, if you're open to that, then, you know, we can help you with that kind of stuff. But the more stories that we each other hear amongst each other, the more we're going to be able to appeal to others, because we want to be able to say, oh, one of my team members, when someone says to you, oh, I have a full-time job and 2 little kids, you know, oh yeah, Jennifer on my team's in the same position, and she loves that she can actually have a second income that she has control over. You know, your full-time job, the salary is the salary. That's it. There's no other opportunity to make more money. And when we do Zoom calls, she's got little kids on her lap, and she does Facebook Lives with little people all around her all the time, but yet she promoted from fashion director to division and within a year's time, a year and a half's time. So it's totally doable. The more we know about each other, the better recruiters we all become. So if you're willing to share your story in a way that we can read it and appreciate it, we would love that. So I wanted to share with you a fun little tic-tac. We're calling it tic-tac drive instead of tic-tac-toe. So I want to show you. I'm going to post this after the call, but I'm going to show it to you here. So this is a fun little tic-tac-toe I thought that we could all do. Each time you do one of these things, put an X in the square, and we're going to do some prizes. All right, so let's look at what the tasks are. Okay, first square, pull out your last 2 to 5 shows and categorize your guests. Who's the host? Who was the most excited guest? Who bought the least but had a big wish list? Who bought the most? And who gave you a red flag at some point? Because guess what? These are all leads that we should be discussing with your leader. So let's go through the shows. This is why I like to make notes on order forms after people walk away. So when people walk away, sometimes I write down like, pretty girl in red flannel that asked about blah, blah, blah. so that I remember who that is later. The one getting married, all that kind of stuff. Okay, you can get tic-tac-toe moving across from here. This square is book a new show for this month or in the first 2 weeks of next month, because of course that's where you're going to find your new team members, right? This square, create a photo album or a binder to share the perks of Park Lane. You've all seen my photo album, right? That I bring to shows. It does not have to be a big Jagunda scrapbook. You can do it in a normal binder with plastic page protectors and just put in some paychecks, some pictures from conventions, some pictures from your shows, pictures from trips, meetings. You can use company materials like the brochure for the next trip, the Rich Rewards brochure, so that you have a really fun scrapbook that people can look through during the show, before the show, and after the show. I am a huge believer in showing the scrapbook, because when people see the paycheck, they believe it. When people see all the fun that's being had, I couldn't believe the level of interest at my show from Saturday afternoon. And then it happened again Saturday night. And the co-hosted show I did that night, one of the co-hosts booked for January 2nd and is making it her launch. And she looked at the album too. And she's another person that I would have never known because I booked her from a funny little shopping event at a nail salon. So I really didn't know the girls. That was if you saw my post about Clark Griswold's house. It was not the owner of the house. It was her and her friend was the co-host. It was the friend. So it's not Clark Griswold. It's Clark Griswold's friend. All right. Some of this you already did. Post a photo of you with a Mercedes and share on your Facebook that you are eligible for it. If you didn't do it yet on your Instagram, you could do it there instead. Or in addition, the center square is I just want you to list 5 things you love about Park Lane. Just what are 5 perks you love about Park Lane? Those are the same 5 perks that somewhere should be represented in your binder. Because if you're sharing what you love, people want to be a part of it. Would love for you to share on your social media one of your paychecks that you're proud of. Why are you proud of it? What did you have to do? It could be your very first check, and even that you're reminiscing about it, right? Where you post a picture of your first check and say, I can't believe that when I knew nothing about selling jewelry, I went out and did one show with my leader helping me and I earned this. I would absolutely love to do that with you. It can be a best one or anywhere in between. That's why I didn't say it had to be your highest, just something that you're proud of. Maybe you have a paycheck that you had 3 new team members launching on, and you know then what they made at those shows. You know what I love about this check? Not only did I earn blah, 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 but more importantly, I helped 3 other women earn blah, blah, blah. And that's one of my favorite parts of my job as a leader. Would love to help you as well, right? Okay, your bottom section. You have one more social media task. Go live or post on some of your social media about what Park Lane's done for your family. Just share from the heart. It's the holidays. It's that time of year that you can definitely get away with a little extra sap and a little extra, sharing. And God knows that right now, half of your Facebook is having an absolute heart attack over what they are spending on Christmas. So let's put it out there and be a solution to people. Who do you want to be buddied up with? Somebody that you've seen on all these live calls or that you know that is at least listening after the fact. You can do a little opportunity event together if it's somebody that is local, or you can do one of those Facebook Lives where you bring the other person on and you do like a chat. That is super fun to do. So just another way to be intentional. And then, of course, what did I put here? Do the back of the hostess order form with your next 5 hostesses. I'm giving you the whole rest of December to do this so that when January hits, then you'll have done, if you've done all or most of these things, you're going to be such a better position for next year. And next year is coming soon. And if you have a crappy January, it's really hard to come back from, and you'll spend the whole first half of your year struggling. The unfortunate reality is that your average run-of-the-mill only does a little bit team member is doing a little less than even that in January. So if you want to have a good start to your personal business, like, it's important, you got to make January about your personal business. You should have an event with your team, but really make it about your personal business. Make sure that you have a third more shows scheduled than you actually would be wanting to hold. So if you want to hold 8, got to book 12. There's a high cancellation rate in January. So let's get it booked. And then here's the prize structure. If you get 1 Tic Tac drive, I'll send you a present. If you get 2, your leader's sending you a present. If you get 3, Mary Grace is sending you a present. And if you black it all out, you're getting it all. Okay? So thanks to Crystal Sanchez, by the way, for making the actual board of this up, which was so nice of her. So I'm going to upload this. It's just a PDF so that you can print it out as a regular 8.5 by 11. And just add it to your myriad trackers you may be working on. I'm sure you have your convention tracker out and going, and all the things that you're tracking for December. And have some fun with this. It's just ways to keep you engaged, keep you on top of your game at a time of the year where every distraction in the world exists. And if your business is important to you and you really do want to be driving a Mercedes, these are the things we need to be doing and managing to pay attention to. So what questions or thoughts do you have before we wrap it up tonight? You can ask a question, or you can just share something that's on your mind.
I guess I have a question, Michelle.
Sure.
How, at a show, how do you market the 2 for $25 items? Like, I guess what I'm seeing a lot of, and I'm not sure if there's a way to do this, but it sometimes feels like they would have purchased those items anyway for half price. And you know what I'm saying? It almost feels like they buy less. I mean, it's do you know what I'm saying?
There's nothing saying you have to give up that there's actually 2 right out of the gate.
Uh-huh.
Because I'll be honest, I was noticing that people were more apt to combine orders, because then they both get a bonus item, they both buy 1, and then they take 2 half-price items each. And I was like, yeah, homie, don't play that. So at my show Saturday afternoon, I only told them about 1 bonus item. And then at the end, when I did the Q&A, I said that if they were booking a show for January or December, they got to take a second one. So I did get more bookings that way, but I didn't really enforce that anyway. Yeah. Like, they were placing large orders, so I didn't really have to be so strict. What I needed to do it at was the night before. But I did it at both shows that I did on Saturday. And in the end, they did take 2 bonus items, whether they were booking or not, but at least nobody was combining orders. Yeah. And I was able to assess their order before going there with the second one.
Okay.
So if you're finding it's a problem, don't share that there's 2 at first.
Okay.
Because you're right. If something's $78, they shouldn't be taking that as a $25 bonus.
Right.
It would be less expensive. It'll be like, $5 or $10 more, right? Because what's half, 35? But then also that's bad for your net.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's a stupid use of a bonus item. Like, there's no way I'm letting that happen. If that's the case, I'll tell them, no. That's practically $25 anyway.
Yeah.
So take that for half. Take something different as a bonus item.
Yeah. Okay.
And honestly, Mary Grace did point out to me that even if you insist on doing their mantra bracelet as a $25 bonus item, she said, don't put it in like that. Put it in as a half price item.
Right.
Even if it's $3, off in the payments, just cover it because you're going to make 50% or 45% or whatever on the half price. And that's all your net. And not for anything, divisions and above, your bonuses are based on net.
Right.
So make sure that you're watching that kind of stuff, because enough of those mantra bracelets at half price, all of a sudden you're several hundred short on a bonus.
Right. Okay. That makes sense.
So try to attach them to a bonus. One thing that Tammy Christensen was always the master of is tying every imaginable gift to a booking. When it was, how sometimes we would have the TPW week and then it was like the free ring. Nope. Free ring if your friend books a show. And if it was free, any kind of extra, she tied it to a booking. And that's why she always had so many bookings. So you can always keep that kind of stuff in mind. That's where I got the last minute idea to only offer the second bonus item if they booked.
Mm-hmm.
I said, what would Tammy do? She would make them have to book.
Right. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Any other thoughts or questions? Anything you're excited to try that you learned from today?
I'm going to get back to my elevator pitch, because I kind of got away from that. Why I got involved with Park Lane and what inspired me to do that, and I got away from it. And the main reason I did, and this has been so effective in the past, is because I moved to Oklahoma City and didn't know anybody. I got involved because I didn't have any friends here. And so when people say, well, I can't do that, I don't know anybody, then there you go. There's your reason. So I got away from that pitch, so I'm going to get back to it.
And that's a huge typical objection. So that's you're absolutely right that will help you tremendously. I would say I don't know a lot of people is one of the biggest objections that we get.
Yeah.
So if you can overcome that one with your own personal story, that's tremendous.
Yeah. So thanks for the hello moment.
I know. Listen, that's what all these trainings do for all of us at one point or another. At convention, somebody will share something and I'm like, I used to do that all the time. How did I get away from that? Yeah. That is the nature of this business, where you're constantly reminded of something that you used to do that was always successful, and how did it get away from you? So That's a good one. Lisa, where did you come to Park Lane from? Did you come from another company?
I was with Amway for many years, and I was also with Mary Kay.
Okay. Excellent. And when did you come to Park Lane?
2015.
Okay.
April of 15.
So almost exactly a year after me. Okay. Great. That's great. Well, I hope that you all have a great rest of your evening. I hope you have fun with the tic-tac-toe, and I really look forward to sharing all of our different stories in the group, because we're all in different downlines. We don't all know each other that well, and I think it would be nice to get to know each other more, and that would be a way to get to know each other as well as to help each other communicate our stories in the most effective way that will really help you grow your team. And like I say over and over again, please make sure that you're not just taking this information for yourself, but that you take some time during the course of the week to turn it around to your own team. Pick somebody and work with them on their story. Last week I said pick somebody and teach them how to do the hostess order form. This week I want you to work with some of your team members one-on-one on their story. Okay, and I'm going to do the same. So have a great rest of your night, and I look forward to seeing you next week. Bye.